Hello, everybody. Welcome to Fearless Friday Season 2, Episode 3, where we discuss strategies, tools, and tips to transform your fear into fuel to unlock your true potential. So today, I have a really exciting guest with us. We are going to be discussing how to release the honey within you. And that's going to be with our special guest, Miss Shantay Adams. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce her before I give you the pleasure of seeing her gorgeous, beautiful face. So, Miss Shantay Adams is a dynamic speaker, author, and owner of Fresh New Consulting. A servant at heart, Shantay is a licensed minister whose purpose is to serve others with sound wisdom, counsel, and guidance. So, ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome the author of Release the Honey Within You, Mrs. Shantay Adams.
Welcome, everybody.
Hey,
Hello. Honey.
How are you today? How you doing today?
I am doing really good. I'm fired up, you guys. So I'm like tons of energy all of a sudden. So I'm like ready to go. Let's talk. Let's go. Let's release some honey. Let's enjoy our Friday.
Right.
Let's enjoy our Friday. Come on.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Many
Thank
questions.
you. Thank you.
First off, I have so many questions. I'm super excited.
Okay.
Because first off, I've gotten so many people that have reached out to me and said, I'm really excited about the topic of tonight, Release the Honey Within. Because they're like, well, what? I'm like, yep, gotta log on to hear about it, gotta log on to find out about it.
Yes.
So, I have a few questions before we get started. Let's recognize who we currently have in the audience. Like we have a couple comments.
Okay.
I see we have Miss Kenya Dennis. Thank you, Kenya. She says hello to the audience.
Hello.
We've got Miss Jeanette Stewart. She's saying hello as well.
Hello.
And Jeanette says, release the honey.
Release it.
So we got peace and love coming in. Mr. Mac Wells. So thank you all for being here. Looks like we have some other folks that are also here streaming and watching. We have people coming in from our Facebook world and our YouTube world. So yeah. So if you haven't done so already, people, if you can and have time, invite a friend. We are really looking to grow this platform. So let's get started. Let's talk about it. Tell us. I'm so excited. I want to get the goods as well. I have a definition. I usually try to start and find out what's going on, or if I have a topic, what is the definition of whatever the topic is. So I want to read just the two things that I pulled out, and then I want you to answer the next set of questions. So the first one I said is like honeybees. We know what honeybees are, but the definition that I pulled up says they're social insects known for their complex behavior and hive structure. Okay. And then I said, okay, so what's a lady? Well, we all think, we know what a lady is, but it says it is a reference to a woman or a female of good manners, refinement, and social grace.
That's true.
So my question to you, first one of the day, is tell us the meaning behind releasing the honey within you and what brought you to this title, considering, honey, honeybees, lady, blah, blah, blah. Tell us, where'd that come from?
So, okay, that's a lovely question, FYI, for you guys who are watching. So I thought about like, where should I start? So how the honey part came, before we get to the bee part, let's get to the honey. The honey part came when I was married. So I'm divorced, and so for a few years now. But when in my marriage, my ex-husband used to say, you get more with honey than vinegar. And at the time, I never really got that. So I was one of those ladies who was very feisty, very strong, very, I'm a woman, hear me roar kind of woman. I'm independent. I can do this for myself. I don't need a man. I was that kind of person. I was that kind of woman. And so post my divorce, I had a sit down and I had a very humbling experience post my divorce. And in that humbling process, in that season of my life, I began to learn to eat the honey and release the honey. I had to learn to be humble. And so the honey is the softer side. The honey is the more balanced side. The honey is the more temperate side. The honey is the one who is more wise. The honey is the one who's more mature. The honey is the one who knows who she is and is confident, not cocky, but confident. And so the honey knows her worth. That kind of woman knows her worth, her value, who loves herself. So all those things took place post my divorce. So it was a blessing because I learned Shantay, the identity of Shantay. So that's where the honey comes in. Now the bee part, you just described a portion of the honeybee. The honeybees are the worker. As a matter of fact, the queen honeybee is the one who determines the workers. It determines which harvest is going to be the one that's going to do this, which bee is going to do this or do that. So they determine it. And the males are the bees are the drones. So the male go out and work, but it's only so many. But it's still women. Not saying that we don't need men. I'm not here to advocate that. Actually, it's the opposite. I'm saying we women, we need purpose partners. We need our men need our women. We need to come together. But however, that's where the bee comes in, because the bee is the one who produces. The honeybees are producers. And so, but they're balanced. And so the honeybee is a balanced woman. So it's a metaphor, it's an analogy to describe the type of lady. It's not saying you gotta be so independent that I don't need a man kind of attitude. No, it's saying that, hey, I'm balanced, I'm nurtured, I'm soft, but yet I'm strong, I'm fearless, I'm courageous, I'm brave. It is all that. And the queen honeybee is that type of lady. And I call her a lady, not a woman. So I say lady intentionally, because the lady, the characteristics you describe of a lady is different than that is a woman. Because all girls grow up to be women, but not all women are ladies. So,
yes, absolutely. Oh boy, there's so much that resonates with me. And I know for those who know me, I have a lot of those similar attributes, right? Like the strength, the, kind of, very, I can be aggressive and have been told I'm too aggressive. I'm not soft enough. But I agree with you, because as I have matured, and even after my divorce and dating, and now I'm in a committed relationship and, I'm engaged, it's you have to change your approach. You have to tap into that soft side.
You have to
understand. And I have some really great girlfriends in my life, thankfully, that also help me. And I'm sure may get to some of this, but that also helped me, right, to remind me that no, this isn't necessary. You don't have to respond in that way. You can use a different tone of your voice, and you can do it lovingly and sweet and right, and still be confident and strong.
That's it.
Without, because my mind used to tell me, sometimes when women would show up that way, I'm like, oh, she just one of them weaklings. She's a little pushover. And now I'm like, no, that's absolutely
it's opposite.
Not true.
You're actually more stronger.
It is absolutely the opposite. So
And so I had to learn that. I had to learn that and embrace that. And so the honey, that's why I say eat the honey, because you can't release something that's not in you. So you have to first eat it. So that means we have to learn how to eat the things that are soft, eat the things that are good, eat the things that are right. And then when we do that, what we're doing is we're releasing that honey. And we have been conditioned as women, especially if you're from a certain generation, that we've been conditioned that to be strong and not to show our weakness, that it was something that was wrong, or we looked down upon, or we were just fragile. No, I'm not saying that we have to be soft. That means we have to let go our strong side. No, I'm saying to the women in this book, is a good point of that, is balance. It's knowing when to be, it's being tactful, like you said, knowing when to tap into that soft side, knowing how to respond, that gentleness. And so I finally get what my ex-husband said to me when we were married. He said, you go further, you get more with honey than vinegar. And sometimes that over aggression, that temperament pours out, it comes off like vinegar. And and vinegar doesn't attract, but honey does.
Yes,
honey attracts things. Honey attracts those things. Honey attracts not only the opposite sex, but honey attracts opportunities. Honey attracts favor. Honey attracts blessings, because you're releasing that good thing out of you. And so it is just, I'm telling you, I'll go on and on, but let me step back because I can just talk and talk and talk. Because now you're in my,
well, I think you're speaking to, I mean, a lot of the questions that I have for you, and I'm telling you, we're so excited about the conversation, and I'm taking it all in, because I know this is, like I said before, this is stuff that I am currently working on within myself in this very moment, right? So the second question I had is similar to what you were just, alluding to, which was, how have honeybees influenced your perspective on connecting, like the sort of the metaphor, right, for honey within, and the experiences of women. So you were sort of speaking to that in and out in this, what you just stated, which is, how the honey, that's soft, it's so sweet, it's not the vinegar, right? So it, again, back to how you came to this, that's where that's kind of coming from, that metaphor being related to honey, and then the structure of the honeybee. Still, I know you said it's the sweet stuff, but how did you even contemplate that? Like, what I'm saying? We see bees all the time. We know what they do. We know what they, honeybees anyway, what they bring to the table. But how did you still, how did that become the metaphor for this book?
Okay, so that's a great question. Excellent question. So people get asked, well, how did you get the two together? Like, how did it just connect and come together? So I was last year, I didn't know the book was going to be about release of honey. Had no clue, no idea. It all came about this year. So FYI, those who are watching, it was all last year. The Lord was just really talking to me about honey, and everywhere I go, it was like honey and this and that. And so that was maybe around maybe June, July of last year, maybe August, somewhere around that time, maybe getting towards the fall, early fall, like right now, somewhere around that time frame. And everything was about honey, like the honeybee. And it was a book I was reading, and it was talking about honeybees. And I was like, oh, honeybees. And so I'm also, as you mentioned before, I'm a licensed minister. And so the Lord gave me a series to launch the ministry on YouTube, teaching. So I teach on that prophetically. And so on there, the series was about honey. And when the Lord launched me, it started with the soul. And it was just about with the mind, the will, and the emotions. And then come January of this year, it was a series. It was a 7-part series starting January. And in there was about honey. And prior to me speaking on honey, the Lord gave me a scripture. It was in Proverbs 24:13-14. It was the NOT, the New Living Translation. And it was said, my child, eat the honey. And so the honey became about, so then the Lord had me start to minister to everyone about honey, like eat the honey. The Lord said, eat the honey. This is the time the Lord's releasing honey. And he wanted his children to eat it, because I didn't know it was going to come a time when God said, now it's time to release it. So he had me on the mission to advocate and people about to eat the honey. Eat the honey, my child. The honey is sweet. It's good to the soul. It's sweet like honeycomb, right? And it talks about how wisdom is just like that. Wisdom is good to the soul. Wisdom is sweet like honey. So it was using the honey and the wisdom as a metaphor. So that's how I began to start. I started going to publicly saying it, just encouraging others in it, not knowing that there was a book behind it, because the book didn't come out until months later. The book didn't come out to April after we left Atlanta. When we were in Atlanta, that's when the honey, it really came together. But prior to that, I was just teaching on honey. I was just speaking on honey. I was encouraging others about eating the honey, not releasing at that time. I was releasing the honey because I had, in my quiet time, I had already was eating the honey. So then it was my turn to encourage others to eat the honey. Now we're in the season. Now you have been eating honey. I need you to start releasing it. Or if you have not eaten it, I need you to eat it, because there will come a time when you're going to have to release it. So there will be so many women that are going to be releasing honey. I know this is going to be a big, I take no credit. I said, Lord, I thank you. This is all God. I take no credit. I give him all glory and honor and praise, because the honey is going to catch like wildfire, because it's going to do something in the mindset and the frame of women and how we've been conditioned. For example, what's a good? There's so many examples I can say to them. Oh my goodness, there's so many examples I can give. Okay, what's a good? Okay, so for example, I have shared this story when I had released the book, when I had a book signing back in August last month, because the book just came out in July. Wrote it in April, it came out in July. And I had a friend of mine, a male friend of mine, who because at this point I was gathering just data, kind of give some perspective of men and how men were seeing women in today's society. And I said, can you give me a quote to put in the book? And so I quoted him. He's actually in chapter 1. I quoted an exact quote from him in the book. But my question was to him was, how do you see women today? How are we carrying ourselves? What is he's a well-established man. He's a director at a billion dollar company. He's high up. He's, down to earth man, handsome man. But he's like, but I wanted to get his thought. He's an intelligent man. I said, tell me what your thoughts of women. I said, I'm writing this book. I told him what I'm writing a book about. So he had an idea. And he said that women today are too masculine. They're too strong. And I said that it is, and even in the marketplace. So we didn't talk about just relationship, just being, but we were talking in the marketplace as well, because he's in the marketplace. And he said a lot of times women who are in leadership show up, overexert themselves to show that they are in control and have power, when in fact he said it's a turnoff, because they're isolating the men that's in the marketplace. In terms of relationship, and I'm paraphrasing his quote, by the way, in terms of relationship, he's saying that the women are, and just in normal, they are too masculine. Like there's no difference between the men and women in terms of the energy, the presence that we are walking in, exuberating. So I just thought it was well thought out quote. And from a man's perspective, sometimes we as ladies got to hear the men's perspective just as well as the men got to hear our perspective. It goes both ways.
Absolutely.
And
yes.
so I said to him, I said that was well said. So I quoted him in the book, and just to say that, hey, as ladies, we need to show up, showing up, being our soft side and our gentle side, because sometimes we show up. I coined it as when a woman shows up to a date and she's been hurt. First date, and she was like, you're kind of coming with this persona, like, he's not gonna hurt me, he's not gonna do this to me, he's not gonna do that to me. And they kind of just present themselves that way in their conversation. Sometimes they may not outright just say that, the first 5 minutes of the conversation, but by the end of the date, that's the interpretation, like, wow, how do you think I'm gonna hurt her? Like, where'd you get this from? Sometimes we just say it in casual conversations, like, you ain't gonna hurt me. The last man I went out with, he did that to me. No one's gonna do that. His brother, the man, all he said was, can I just walk you to your door? Can I get your food? And so those things, and so in the marketplace, sometimes we have a tendency to show up that way too. When we say, I'm the woman, I'm in charge, I'm the CEO, I'm the, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the leader, I'm the director, whatever your position is. Whereas that we don't have to show up that way. And so that's part of the book. That's more added what you asked me, but I just thought.
No, I love it. Listen, we already have quite a few comments coming in, and so there's one. I'm going to put up a few. So Jeanette Stewart reads out that Proverbs 15:1 says, "A soft word turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." That's so true. Yes. So you coming with that aggression, right?
Yes.
You're butting heads. So that's not going to do anything for you. Your words, your language, your body language, all of that. That's
all of that speaks. Body language speaks more.
Right. And then we've got hold on, there's another one right here.
Great comment, Jeanette, by the way. Excellent.
Yes. Are the women too masculine or are the men too feminine?
Woo! And that is something that we're seeing. I'm gonna be quite honest with you. We are seeing, like, wait a minute, where is why the men want to wear dresses? I'm just saying, that's why. Why? Why is the men want to wear feminine things, and why the women want to be so hard? And so that lets you know that things are off, and that's a whole deeper conversation. Things are off spiritually, really, to be honest with you, in terms of trends and people are doing things, and that I can go a whole deeper teaching on that side, so I can go way out there with that. But I think it needs to, the men need to stand their ground and be men. Like I said about the Virtue Honeybee Lady, she knows this type of lady knows who the real man is, because a real healed, whole man, I like to say, wants a soft, balanced woman, and a lady want a man who's firm, who's strong, who knows who he is, who knows his purpose and his identity. We want that too, and so
Absolutely.
that's what's coming together. So the Virtue Honeybee Lady wants that, and she's not going to settle for the man that's too feminine. Not saying man can be sensitive; those two separate things.
Right, absolutely.
Yeah, but yeah. So I think that is. But when we as women walk in ours, it would, and we know who we are. I believe that man will rise to the occasion.
Absolutely. I hear that quite often. That's a statement. Like that's a true statement. Miss Faith James says, hi. So she says women need to turn to, and I'm not sure what's GIF. Do you know what that represents?
I thought it was like gift,
for healing and agape love experience before they can be ready to love a human. So Faith, you could tell us what GIF stands for. That would be great, just so the audience and I know what that means. God. Oh, she's saying for God. Okay, got it. Oh, I got you. Typo. All right. I'm in there. So, and then she says, again, hold on. I think that was just her reply that it was God. And then Jeanette is still coming back in terms of just saying, like, listen, we don't need to worry about men right now. We're talking about us women and how we're showing up. And I agree. We really need to get it together.
How we supposed
Let
to
me tell you, I will be the first to say and confess, we need to get it together. Like we really, there's nothing wrong with being independent and having strength, but you know, you have to understand that balance. The balance is so critically important. And I'm gonna tell you, I know, I'm only gonna speak for myself. I know I have been out of balance, and I'm grateful to God that at this time in my life, I am really beginning to understand why and how it's so much more important to be balanced in that way, right? Like I can't just always show up, you know, with, you know, just in my Talina-isms is what I call it, you know, taking over, taking charge. And it's been part of my personality, but it doesn't mean that it's not something that I should not look at and work on being better about. I don't have to show up that way. We all have choices. And I'm choosing at this time, like you said, to be more, you know, to let my honey, to eat the honey and then release the honey. And so I'm not so bitter.
Let it flow. Right? Yes. And so, you know, I said when I had spoken in New York at a conference, a Global Summit conference in New York back in July. And when I was speaking, and this, because I didn't realize how bad I was in terms of me showing up that way with that kind of, that energy, that attitude, that disposition. I was like ready for, you know, a fight or on guard. But I didn't realize I was really coming from a place of hurt, a place of brokenness, and I didn't know who I was. And so when I wrote this book, the first chapter is talking about valuable and how we have to learn our value, because we have value inside of us. We don't no longer have to show up thinking that we have to be this or that. No, when we come to the table, we have value offer. We have value to offer to the table. We have value because we know our worth. And so that is something that I talk about very, very much so in chapter 1 about knowing your value, knowing your worth, loving yourself. But first, before I could love myself, I had to, as Faith was mentioned earlier, I had to first learn the love of the Lord, learn the Lord of Jesus. I had to receive that real, authentic, pure love. Then once I received that kind of love, which is agape love, then I was able to pour out love, because you can't love something, you can't love nobody until you first love yourself. So once I began to love myself and really desire better for me in terms of relationships, that was something that had to be dealt with head on.
Yes, absolutely. And Miss Betty says that it is, and thank you for being here, Miss Betty. She said it's important to go deeper within to uncover the pain and where the pain comes from and get the emotional help that's needed to recover.
Yes. And I will speak to that, Betty. You know what? I did a teaching on the power of being, BEING, just being. And sometimes we get into this place of doing, that we never
Yes.
learn how to be. And so that started to Betty's point, and what the comment she made was, I didn't realize where the root cause was for me. And I did a teaching on the power of being. But in that time, the Lord took me back to the part of the root. And part of the root for me, where that aggression came in, and it came from a place of rejection.
Ooh-wee.
So the root was rejection. And the root came in from a teacher. I was in kindergarten. Come on, y'all. Who remembers kindergarten? Who remembers that? What I did? Because that's where the root came in at. And so when the Lord brought me back to that place, the teacher thought that I was not going to amount. They thought I was going to be like some of my family members. And so they prejudged me on day one. And so what that did was, because I'm a hard worker and I know my work ethic, what that did was, I said, well, you're not going to say I can't succeed. I'm going to show you. And so as a little kid, and so as a child, that kind of mentality foster, because it was rejection, it was hurt. And so because the hurt was never dealt with, it manifested in perfectionism. It manifested in overachiever. It manifested, well, I'm an independent woman. I could run this and do this myself, with the head shaking, all that. You're not going to tell me I can't do this. I will show you. Instead of learning to just be, I became a doer. And I was just doing 5 jobs, 3 jobs, whatever it takes to do to succeed, to say, you ain't going to tell me I'm not going to achieve. You're not going to tell me I'm not going to be successful. So now God don't waste anything. He will use that. And so, but before he can use it, he had to heal that. To her Betty's point, I had to be healed. And that was part of the root. And then make it so bad when you get perfection, when you were overachiever and you excel in things. I was one who excelled in school. I excelled academically. But however, I liked the attention I got for excelling. So see how rejection turned into pride, it turned into haughtiness, all these different things showed up. Then here come the aggression, because I was a perfectionism. Perfection is rooted in pride and rejection. And so this is the root. And so now, because there was still bitterness there too. So there come the vinegar, because I had an edge about me. Like, you're not gonna tell me I can't do something. Like, I'm gonna show you. And so it was like an attitude. And it produced that over aggression. It produced those different mannerisms. And then I was raised, then this is the thing. I was raised by a single mother. My mother and father split up. So I saw my mother step into the mother and the father role. So mind that what happened when I was a little girl, growing up, I'm in elementary school, junior high. My parents split when I was 15 years old. And when they split, I saw my mother be the mother and the father. She was wearing the pants and the dress. And it was no distinction between the two. So I thought that, I wear the pants and the dress too. Oh, okay, now I'm gonna be quiet on that one. So it came into my marriage. So that mannerism came into my marriage. Even the rejection came into my marriage. Even the over-aggressionness came into my marriage. All those things that were never dealt with prior. So that came in. And so that's where the vinegar come. That's where the bitterness come in. That's where the way I spoke and the way I talked, because all those things, so the environment, the culture, all those things played a factor in me and my emotions, my esteem, all those factors. It was off. And I needed mass healing. I need some healing. And I had to go through some deliverance. And then I went through some healing. So yeah. Great question. Great
That
comment,
is
Betty.
Yeah, that's a great comment. And you know what? There's so many things that resonate with me in terms of what you just said, because again, like I say, for those, who do know me know that there's a lot of what you said that's very similar, right? So it is that feeling, sort of an overcompensation, right? Because
that's the word. Good word.
And especially when you are like you said, you have a great work ethic, and you did see what your single mom had to do. Just like me, I watched my mother do the same things, right? Where both said, she was my mom and my dad all at the same time. She was working multiple jobs. I mean, she was carrying a heavy load, on her own. So if that's the example that you see, you believe you have to be that strong to survive, in life.
in
And then
life.
there's
Yeah.
other things that obviously come in. So it's really important to be able to do that, or to take the inventory, to do the inventory, right? To understand, like you said, and like Betty just mentioned, to go back and understand the root, right? And then heal, ask for healing in that area, so that, you can show up with the honey and not that vinegar. So,
And not that
oh my
vinegar.
gosh.
Yes. And even,
Yeah.
and like I said, I spoke with a lady who, a married woman. She's been married for almost 30 years, maybe over 30 years. They have grown children. And I met her. I was going to find a venue to have the book signing, a book launch. And so I just met her, and not knowing that she was praying to the Lord about her marriage and the things that are going on in their marriage. And I had said to her, we were just talking, I talked to her about the book, and, kind of some things we had already shared this evening. And she was like, oh my goodness, I know this is so divine, because I was just praying to the Lord about my marriage and what should I do? And I began to advise her. And one of the things I had suggested, I said that oftentimes the work starts with us. I think it was someone left a comment earlier, said not about the men, but us as women. And sometimes it's us. When we start working on us and eating the honey and releasing it, it shifts things. It shifts the atmosphere. And so I gave her a free copy of the book. And I went back to check on her a couple of, we talked about an hour or so. So she allowed me to kind of coach her and speak to her privately. I won't disclose all her business. But however, when I went back to check on her some days later, she said, I had a come to Jesus moment reading your book, because it really showed her.
Yes.
Oftentimes we so busy we want to point the finger, but oftentimes the real work begins with us.
Yeah.
Because when we change us, it changes everything around us.
Everything. Yes. It's just like it says in here. I printed this out, and it was talking about, again, the queen bee, right? Or the, the honeybees, but the queen bee.
Yeah.
And it's talking about, what she's responsible for, right? So it's not just about laying the eggs and doing all that, but like you mentioned, she is the director, right? She's sort of the person that, not the person, but she creates that environment. There's impact on everyone based on whatever is happening with her. And for us, for women, like, we are sort of we're the what do you call it? We're like the base of our households, right? Like,
tone setter.
Right. So we're handling the kids and taking care of, the household and our husbands and, all of it. And if we bring in funky energy, right, then everything in the house feels like that. But when we come in with great energy and, we're loving and we're kind and, we're respectful and we're understanding and we take time and we communicate, it changes everything in the environment. And I know this to be true for sure. There's a comment here from Miss James again, and I believe this as well, but she says a man needs to feel needed.
Yeah.
He needs to feel needed. And I think, and she says, when we got it and don't want any help, they feel unnecessary.
That's so true.
Yes.
That is
so
so
they
true.
want to feel needed. And who wants to feel like they're insignificant? Like, nobody. And if we're coming in all, like, how, listen, my girlfriends tell me this all the time. You can tone it down. Tone it down. You can say it a different way, because I'll be like, right?
Yeah, I know.
But I understand the difference now.
Yeah.
I do understand. And sometimes I catch myself today. I didn't used to catch myself before, but I catch myself today. And that's why I love just, with your book, I was like, man, all I can say is y'all got to order your books. So we'll get to that in a second. But I do not want to belabor this statement. This portion. Let me see. Miss Kenya Dennis says, how do you release the honey and not feel some kind of way if the results are just not sweet enough?
She said, how do you release the honey and not feel some kind of way if the results are not just enough? Now, my question, so you hate to ask the question with a question, but this is for clarity's sake. When you're saying, are you releasing the honey, is if you're releasing it in order to get something? So then it comes to like, are your motives, because the release the honey is pure, is authentic. It's not necessarily to get something in return. Not saying you won't get something in return, because when you sow something good, you're going to reap something good back in return. We know that. And so the honey, you're releasing the honey because you want things around you to attract things that's good. So you're not releasing just to get. Does that make sense? You're not releasing just
Yep.
to get, like, I'm only gonna do this. I'm gonna release the honey today because I want this man to like me, or I want this job to promote me, or I want this money. Then it becomes, our motives are not pure.
Uh-huh.
So we're releasing the honey. So you eat the honey, and you want, and you know you're going to get some in return, because you're releasing something that's good out of you, and it's going to attract that back. Now, this is the thing I shared. Now, I did share this as a bit of wisdom. I did share about 2-3 weeks ago about when you begin to eat the honey, it's on the frontal lobe of your mind, and you're conscious of that, and you are aware that you're releasing it. You have to be wise, because you will attract things that's not good for you.
Right.
And so when it's not enough, it is enough. You don't get the right results. You're doing it, you releasing the honey because it's something good you're doing. It's releasing kindness. The honey can be kindness. It can be a smile. The honey can be anything that's soft, anything that's gentle, anything that is pleasant, is love, pure love. So that's what I would say, if I understand correctly. But correct me if I'm wrong. But you can clarify.
She said she's not expecting anything in
Oh,
return.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad. Thank you, Kenya, for clarifying. No, but it was. Thank you.
Yeah.
But no, so I'm not quite sure what she's asking about. If it's not enough, not the results are not enough. What does that mean exactly?
She said that makes sense. She said what you said made sense.
Oh,
so my assumption, yeah. So I think you answered her question.
Okay.
In terms of when, what did she say here? When the results are just not sweet enough. So,
and let me add this too. Because we have moments, things happen, and lately life happens to everyone. No one has a perfect day. No one has a days where they're just flawed. If that's the case, we didn't need a savior. Let's just be honest. There's grace. And in this, I talk about grace because I had to learn to give myself grace to grow and to evolve, to mature, to grow up, to become more softer, to really think before I speak.
Yes.
To really think before I speak. And so I give yourself grace. So this is for me, you, all of us on here watching and watch the replay. Give yourself grace. We're not gonna get it right all the time, but it's when you're aware that you want to change, you want to be soft, you want to present yourself in a way that is ladylike. Really, I mean, just be honest, ladylike, virtuous.
Yep.
Fearlessly,
Fearlessly. And I want to talk about virtuous in just a second. I'm going to read a couple comments out as well. Betty says, yes, her prayer every day is, God, please help me to see me. I'm open for whatever you reveal to me for my highest good.
Amen.
And then Ms. Theresa is saying that finding peace within you first is so important. And then she said, releasing honey is like releasing good energy. Is that how you would?
Yes. And I want to just mention about the peace before you bring up another comment really quickly, because I talk about that in the book as well, because I learned to value peace.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're over aggressive or you're over feisty, you're not valuing peace. If you're one who wants to get the last word or prove your point, you're not valuing peace. And so when she said that about the peace, that is so important. Because so much I can say, and like I said, it's in the book, but that peace part is so valuable because it's not about you getting the last word. It's not about you trying to outdo someone else. It's like you say, no, I value peace. I don't have to do that. It's like knowing your identity. When you know that, you show up differently, you show up better. And that's part of that honey, because now you're eating honey. You say, no, I value peace. I'm eating honey. And what you're going to do, you're going to release that honey. You're going to release peace. And you're going to attract peace. You're going to come into environments where it may be chaos, but because you're full of honey and now you're ready to release it, it's going to be like, wow, peace. It's going to be joyful. It's going to be life. It's going to be vibrancy. It's going to be all good things. It's going to be the sweetness of the Lord, the sweet presence of God. And so all those things, and it makes you more attractive. It beautifies you. So when I began the honey, it was like almost kind of like her Esther. When Esther went into the king's palace and they put all the oils and the fragrance on her and she got beautified. It's the same thing. It's because it was an inward working that was being taking place. And when something is done that's right inside you, it's going to help to become out to be beautified. And I say this one piece when I was coming back from New York. there was a man that I was my chauffeur, the driver, I should say, driving back to the airport, and he and I had a very great conversation. And one of the things he said, this was this year, and he asked me, we had, like I said, we talked for like an hour because it was an hour ride to the airport from where the hotel was. But one of the things he talked about, both and I were both married before. He's married now to his new wife for the last 2 years. So we talked about his wife. It was a very platonic conversation. But when we got near the airport, he asked me, he said, well, why are you still single? And I said, well, I don't know why I'm still single. Maybe the right one hasn't come yet. And you know what he said to me? And I say this to every woman who's on here watching, who's maybe single or maybe opening up to dating again or open up for a husband to come. He said to me, he said, can I diagnose you? I said, what do you mean diagnose me? But we had a good report, so I knew he was not going to say anything off the wall. But he said to me, he said that he said, my diagnosis for you is to release the honey. I said, now he gave me back to my book. Now he knew the book title, he knew everything, but he gave back to me, he said, release the honey. He said, men can tell when a woman's been hurt. Men can tell when a woman is easy. Men can tell when a woman is, protective, who's guarded, who's not, who say they want to date, but they're still guarded. And he said to me, he said they can tell these different things when a woman is ready, for love and all that, they can tell. But he said to me, he said, release the honey. He said, if you're ready to date or you want, date, he said, talk less on the first date. And he said, and release the honey. This is what a man said. He said, release the softer side. So
all y'all ladies out there listening, you better be trying to hear what she said. Listen.
That's what the man said. He was a very discerning man, intelligent man, smart man. And he said, and I instantly got it. I caught it. Some things are caught and not taught. I caught it. Yes. I caught it. So I hope you all catch it.
I hope they do too. I'm catching it.
Catch it. And grab a hold to it and apply it.
We have a couple of really cool comments. Miss Faith James has commented again, and she says, releasing honey and having discernment are not mutually exclusive.
Yes,
Mama didn't raise no food.
Mama didn't raise no food. That's right. Come on now.
And then we have Mr. Cornell Stewart, who says, as a man, the one thing we crave in our household and relationship is peace.
That's right. I met some men. And thank you, Cornell, for your comment, because I love to hear what the men have to say. Because I've been meeting men since this book came out. I've been just oddly running to men. And most of the men I run into are married men. And I talked to them about it. And they said, oh, I got to get this book. My wife needs it. My daughter needs it. Oh, my, I'm getting this book. Where can I get a copy of your book? Where can I get this book from? They need to hear this. Then some say to me that you need to come on my show. You need to come on this and do that, because this is a conversation that needs to be had, because we have to learn to be both soft and firm. That's soft and strong, just both. We don't have to be one or the other. Society want to make it seem like we got to choose one or the other. We got to be independent woman. I don't need a man. I can pay my own meals. Let the man, if the man want to take you out, ladies, let the man take you out. What harm is the man want to take you out for dinner? We don't have to show that we accomplished, that we can pay our own meals, buy our own plane, take our own vacations, buy our own home. Yes, we can do that. Yes, that's a blessing. But it's okay if a man says, hey, I want to just come along with you. Let's have life together. Let's do life together. Let's be cohesive. Let's be partners. Let's be purpose partners. Let's be together. We don't have to divide. No, let's be unified and let's stand strong together. So, yeah, that's my talk.
We have some really good comments. This one's kind of long, but they coming in now. So Mr. Wells says, whatever the problem or question is, love is the answer. We need to work together. Too much independent talk in our community. I don't hear other women talking about being independent from their man.
I agree, Ms. Wells.
So when you say our community, are you saying in the Black community?
That's how I took it when she said it. That's how I took it. I'm wrong, but that's how I took it.
Got it. And you know what? We used to listen. We all know, kind of the cliche things that have been said, especially when we're coming up and ignorant, right? and we talk about other people and how they handle or deal with their relationships, right, with their men. And I think there's also a stigma, right? We're Black women. We always feel like we have to fight, right? We always feel like we have to stand up for ourselves and make our way, put a stamp on it, right? Because it's not always easy for us. So, and because of it, it also nurtures, right, that aggressive posture in us. I mean, I can't say it for all of us because clearly that doesn't happen for all women because
that's true.
They know how to balance that. But there are many of us, right, who don't. They haven't had that experience. So we have just, had that posture because we're like, I got to prove myself. To your point, I got to prove myself. I am just as good as you, if not better. Like, let me show you, right? So it's that, all that they talk about the woman in the head shake of the Black woman, and it's not because we're really trying to. Well, I know for me, it's not because I'm trying to, it's just sometimes the animation comes with the fact that one, you're feeling insecure, two, you're feeling uncomfortable, maybe you have a lack of confidence, right? All of these things play into that. And it's most of us though don't want to tell nobody that. We don't want you to know that's really what we're feeling on the inside. Because we need to show up like, but then we're mad when our relationships go bad, right? When we're not feeling, receiving the love and the like the care from our partner that we anticipated receiving. But well, how you gonna get it when you sitting over there cold, arms, crossed, or your energy is not sweet like that, honey. He don't know what to do. He doesn't know how to respond. He don't know what he don't know how to. He don't know, right? Like, so we have to take responsibility for that. Like we really
do. It's two things you said when you were speaking, Lena. It was, and I'm sitting here rocking. I
know I do the same thing.
I was rocking, but two things came to mind. First one, and this is my personality coming out, you guys. So, but I'm about to just say it was almost like how you watch Color Purple, and Oprah Winfrey character. She was like, all my life I had to fight.
Yes.
It was just like,
yes.
I don't know, but that just came up like, all my life I had to fight, and it just kind of like that energy, that personality, and then some of that comes from we watch our parents struggle.
Yeah.
And we see, and then they came with the affirmative action, how we went to school and all that, and we had to come with this like, I can do this. I belong here. And that was we became producers, and we produce and we do. But so now we're getting to the point of just being. And when we will do. And so that's what this is. Almost like kind of like reverse engineering going on right now.
Yes.
So that's what's happening now. And it's getting back to that place of being, and then we can do better, because we learn how to be better. Then we do.
I totally agree with that. And I think, definitely for myself, and I have this conversation with, the women in my circle, that, it's important for us to help this younger generation, like see it sooner rather than later.
Yes.
If you don't have to go down this path, then let's try to talk about that now. Let me be the example. Yes, I'm a bit older, but if my wisdom, right, when I share that with you, if you can take that on and not have to, feel this way or believe that you have to react this way in order to obtain the things that you want in life, then why not? Like, let's get to that. So we have a couple more comments here. Cornell says that chivalry to women is not a reflection of women weakness. It is a reflection of respect and love to the woman. Did I say that right? Yeah.
You said it right.
Allow us to respect you by serving you, loving you, and protecting you.
Well said, Cornell Stewart.
Good job, Big Stu.
But see, when you love yourself, you know how to receive love.
Right.
And sometimes because if you're so aggressive, or you are afraid of being hurt, maybe because you've been hurt before, so there's that guard there, and so it's hard to allow real love come in. Or allow love to come in. So I like what he said, and he said to serve. So and
to serve. And Miss, I love Faith. Faith bringing the fire too. She said, when we feel we are in the fight for our life or proving mode, it's because we have forgotten that God is with us and stands ready to assist. All we have to do is ask and cry out to him. That is so true.
That is so true.
We always forget
so
that. I think most of us forget, right? Or we don't necessarily lean on him in that way. And we do feel like we have the responsibility to, fight the fight for everything. And we don't have to, right? That's what his word tells us.
That's
right. So
yes.
And then we have another comment here. And I know, oh my gosh, the time is going so fast. Cornell says, this is not just in a relationship, but friendships. How can we be a village when we are guarded? Love your friends in a way that we can become family. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that aspect, like my mom, she taught us that early, right? Because she always used to tell my brother, love your brother, love your sister, love your brother, love your sister, like that. So I lead with love most of the time, and I do. It sometimes might be a little salty, but it's all still really love for me. And the salty usually comes in because I really want the reciprocation of that, because I know what I give. So when you talked about don't do something with an expectation of receiving it back, you do it because you're just doing it. And I remember I used to always say, well, how long I got to do it for? Until, but the reality is you just do it, period. You just do it. You allow that honey to just permeate you, right?
Yes.
It is who you are. It comes out your pores. It's in every word you speak, right? It's in everything that you do. So I just love it. I mean, this is just really amazing. So okay, let me get back to what we should be talking about. So we've talked about the honey. We talked about, how honey, it's easier to attract with honey than vinegar. And then on the back of the book cover, it says 7 keys to beautify the overly aggressive to become a Virtue Honeybee Lady. Tell me what that means. Tell us what that means.
So the Virtue Honeybee Lady is, overly aggressive. So I was overly aggressive. I had like I said, my disposition was overly aggressive. It was, my approach was overly aggressive. And so to be beautified, to become a Virtue Honeybee Lady means that she's soft, she's firm, she is brave, she's fearless, but she's soft. Her tongue is soft. It's a scripture I quote in the book. It's probably, you mentioned Proverbs 15:1. I think it was Miss Jeanette, I believe, quoted. But then it was Proverbs 25, I believe it's verse 15. And it says in Amplified, sorry, my little grandkids came here. So they're here. So I'm here in the background.
That's all right, girl. It's all right.
And so, but it was speaking about how patience and a calm spirit breaks the backs of the resistance. It can persuade rulers. And a soft and gentle tongue can break the backs of the resistance. And so it's letting women know that it's really not the firm, strong, powerful word, not powerful, that's not the word we used to use. It's not the really aggressive tone that's going to change the atmosphere. Really, it's the soft one. So when we shift the overly aggressive and get more beautified and become virtuous, like a honeybee that produce, and because when honeybees produce, they are effective. They are valuable. Honeybees are needed. They are needed, and so it's getting us to a place where when we become needed, that we are wanted, we are valuable, we have substance, and so that's what that is saying. And it's saying that, hey, our tongue, actually, when it's soft, actually is the area in life that really persuades things. It really does break down strongholds. Really does break down things that want to come up against us. It's that soft answer. It's that gentle answer. So that's the Virtue Honeybee Lady.
And then it also says where you usher out the Virtue Honeybee Lady, right? That you are true, that you truly are, right, on the back of the book, right? So does that imply also that everyone kind of everyone has like an inherent virtuous nature? We just have tamped it down, or we just have not tapped back into it, because
exactly.
You know when you feel it in you, you're just resisting it, right? Like we resist the ability to let that be the thing that comes up out of us. We keep stay down here, because it's our protection, I think, right? Because that soft space is the one that we have, or at least I know I have in the past, felt like yeah, that's how you hurt me though. And so, but why am I thinking that? Why am I thinking that that's your goal or your motive? That's not necessarily the case. So I think that's the part, you know, we just need to allow it to just come on and come up. Because if it's inherent in us, then
it's in there. That's why I was saying the value is there. It's just us, like you said, tapping into it. Being. That's why I get back to the point of being so much, because when we just learn to just be that, we'll just do those things. It will come second nature, because that nature is in us. It's just us tapping into it. It's us getting in that secret place and allowing us to be worked on and allowing the work to happen. You gotta. It takes work. It takes effort. Like things, like I said a little while ago, that things happen. Life happens. Even when things happen just day to day, not, you know, just daily, things happen in our lives. But it takes us to keep eating that honey, because sometimes a poor attitude, a negative attitude can happen. Things can happen, or we come out of a bad season or a trying season or tribulation. And it's so important that if we don't be careful, we will be bitter. We will be careful. We'll release our vinegar. We will show where we come from, versus showing that honey where no one would know we came from that, or no, we had to deal with that, you know. So it's just it's the honey is a reminder. It is, that's what the Lord said, my child, eat the honey. When life happens, eat the honey, because you're going to eventually release the honey. You're going to let it flow.
Yes, absolutely. I love that. Well, I'm going to show you all. Listen, we all need to get this book. If you've been watching and listening, you can see the value of this book. Again, the title, I'm going to put it up here for you guys. This is the book cover. It's so pretty. It's beautiful. I love it. Purple.
Thank you.
And it is, again, it's called Release the Honey Within You. Right. So 7 keys to beautify the overly aggressive to become a virtue honeybee lady. So I encourage you all, take a picture, come back, look at it again. If you're not sure, don't remember, come back and check here. I got it for you.
And I want to add one thing too.
Yes.
Virtue, that the virtue, the 7 keys is the virtue, and it's spelled virtue. And it talks about the V as being valuable. So in the book, each chapter is a key, and the virtue is a broken out acronym. So it stands for valuable, identity, restoration. Because when we go through a process, God has to restore us so we can release the honey. So I went to a process of restoration, and then you learn to be tactful. Then you learn to be unstoppable. So then you be unstoppable. That means you everywhere you go, you just dropping honey, like honey nuggets, like just wherever you go. You're unstoppable. You're unstoppable in business, life, relationships, finance, everything. You're unstoppable. Then the E is for excellence, because once you become a virtue honeybee lady and you produce the honey and release the honey, you no longer move in a place of perfectionism. You move in a place of excellency, the spirit of excellence. And then the S is to serve. I know my brother Cornell talks about serving the ladies. We as ladies want to serve our man.
Absolutely.
So it talks about serving, not just the man, but serving in every way. Because when we show up, we're serving. Even tonight, I'm serving. So it's having a servant heart. And so that is virtue. And that's the 7 keys. So that's what's in the book. You got to get the book to see all the rest of the detail.
Got to get the book. Got to get the book. So I'm going to drop
the course as well.
There's the course. So let me drop this for them. I'm going to also copy this. It's going to be in the chat. I'm just popped it up now so they can see it, but I am going to be putting that in the chat right now. So give me 2 seconds. Where'd it go? Sorry, guys. Okay, there it is. So let me drop that in the chat. Now that's going to be the course that Shantay is offering. In addition, she's got an amazing giveaway for you guys. Yes. So I'm going to also drop that in the chat. So make sure that you click on these links.
Yes, please. The link.
And definitely, receive your free gift. Check out the course. It is absolutely amazing. So
and get a book too.
And understand. And the book, she has a book. Not just a course. She has the book, the course, and a workbook. So let's talk about that. So she's not playing. She's making sure that you have all the tools that you need, right, to understand, where you are and to become that honeybee lady, right? And so that you can walk out here and really, really, if you've been eating the honey, great. And if you haven't been, then her course, this can teach you how you eat the honey. And then she can tell you how to release the honey. So
yes,
I think it's awesome and amazing. I'm also, yes, and I'm gonna put in here also, here's a link. Oops, let's go back. Okay, so I'm gonna drop this link. This is how you can reach Ms. Shantay. You can always go to her websites. You can click on those information. It'll also, and her book is sold wherever books are sold. So you can go to Amazon. Am I correct?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, wherever books are sold, you can purchase the book online. The course you can get, the free giveaway, I don't have the workbook yet, but the free giveaway, you can get that. It's just the free giveaway is just some nuggets I wanted just to kind of dive in with you a little bit further. And please tag me into it. When y'all say, I released the honey.
Definitely tag her.
Tag me into it. You guys, I'm connected on Facebook, social media, so you can always find me on Shantay Adams on Facebook. You can connect with me on Instagram at Shantay L Adams and Twitter, Shantay L Adams. So Thread, Shantay L Adams. YouTube is Shantay Adams. So YouTube and Facebook is just Shantay Adams. But everything else is Shantay L Adams. Connect with me, tag me when you got some honey, you're releasing the honey, you got your jar of honey, and you're catching things are happening in your life. Tag me in them. Let's talk, let's share. I
absolutely. Yes, I love it. This has been such an amazing conversation. Like I said, I was so excited. Definitely looking forward to it.
Thank you for having me.
I've had other folks that have been tapping in and saying I can't wait for tonight to hear what this is about releasing the honey within. I usually like to close the show with a couple of things, not to mention the call to action. Like you just said, if you guys haven't done so, make sure you are going to Shantay's page. You're going to like, comment. She's shared this. She shared this live stream on her page as well. So you can comment there as well if you'd like. Invite other people that really could use this information, and definitely that could really use her course, right? And read the book. So you can pick up your book and invite people to her page as well. If you haven't done so already, even on my page, remember to like, comment, share. Not just here on Facebook, definitely in the YouTube world, LinkedIn, all of these places, right? Subscribe and like. We're really trying to grow this community. We're going to do some more things together. I cannot wait. Shantay is amazing. And I just truly appreciate it. Like, she's so awesome.
Listen, I just can't just share just one thing about you. So I met, so you guys know, I met Selena, T the host. But I met her in Atlanta. We met in Atlanta, and it was an instant connection from day one. And you have been every bit of kind. Like who she is, what you guys see on here, that's who she is. She is so loving. So first of all, such a mom, such a nurturer. So that honey in you is already there. Because when I met you, you were that way with me, and we just gelled, we just clicked instantly. And so I just want to say thank you for having me. Thank you for your hospitality, for graciously inviting me on here. I enjoy myself, and this woman of God, she's such a true woman of God. So awesome woman of God. Awesome woman.
I appreciate that.
Awesome.
So our quote for today says, "Love is the nectar of the heart, sweetening every interaction, just as honey sweetens the world for the bees."
Wow. So, say it again. Read that one more time.
So, love is the nectar of the heart, sweetening every interaction, just as honey sweetens the world for the bees.
Wow. I gotta get that book.
And I looked, I'm like, well, who said that? I don't know. It said unknown. So I was like, all right, but I liked it. So I was like, see how appropriate that is. So again, guys, this is going to wrap episode 3 of season 2 of Fearless Fridays. I truly appreciate you all for being here. Thank you so much for interacting.
Yes.
One more comment before we get out of here. Let's see real quick. Everyone is just saying, thank you and peace and love.
Thank you.
So I really truly Huh?
I seen some subscribers come up. So thank you all
Yeah.
for those who are subscribing.
Oh, woohoo, I love it. So, yeah, so that's going to wrap another episode. Again, episode 3 of Fearless Fridays for season 2, where we inspire you to embrace your fears, challenge your self-limiting beliefs, unleash your potential, and fearlessly succeed anyway. So no matter what is happening, succeed anyway. So with that, thank you guys, and we're going to see you all next Friday. Bye.
Bye.